Yesterday on Daybreak, we helped you get ready to go back to school by showing you how to save money on school lunches. This morning, we're working to make sure you can make some healthy choices. So this morning, I'm joined by Allison Reed, a dietitian from Spartan Stores, to give us some examples of what kinds of lunches elementary school students need. Thank you for joining us early this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So what are the types of foods that we need to be looking at when we're feeding our young kids?
Well, you always want to have fruits and vegetables available at the meal, and try to choose from 3 to 4 different food groups when you're putting things together.
That can be tough for small kids.
It can, and you know, for small kids, they really like things that are visually very pretty, and that they're tactile, so they can, you know, do a finger food or something like that. So what I've brought as an example today is a pinwheel that's using whole grain bread, cheese, and a lean lunch meat, as well as fruit kebabs.
And you really encourage parents to get their kids involved in the making of their lunches.
Absolutely. Have them skewering the fruits or vegetables if they're going to do skewers.
Okay, so let's talk more about what you brought. So exactly, this is just regular bread, a loaf of bread.
It's a whole grain bread.
Okay.
Very inexpensive. And then you use light cheese, just a slice, let it come to room temperature. That's going to make it a little bit more malleable so that when you go to roll it, you know, you can do that. You quickly just flatten out the bread. Do a little bit of the olive oil mayo, which is reduced fat, lower in saturated fat as well, but the taste is still very similar.
Excellent. And when we talk about portions and kids, we hear so much that so many of those school lunches go in the garbage once the kids get to school. We don't want to waste our money that way. What about portions when it comes to our kids?
So elementary school children should have smaller portions than older children. So, you know, this just using 1 slice of bread with a little bit of cheese and the lunch meat is good, and maybe even one of these skewers would be enough. But you know, I say with fruits and veggies, you know, if the kids want to eat it, keep it coming.
Keep it coming. And it's about being real, because you may want to make that sandwich with 2 pieces of bread, but if your 3rd grader just isn't going to eat it, save yourself some money.
Right.
Be real. Use the 1 piece of bread.
Exactly.
You know, one of the easy things to do when we're packing our lunches is throw a juice box in.
It's easy, but it's not going to provide the fiber and the sense of fullness. So it's going to be a lot of calories without a lot of satiety.
What do you suggest instead?
So use the whole fruit. It's going to have the fiber, it's going to have all the nutrients in it, and it's going to be more filling.
I like the advice. Allison from Spartan Stores, thank you for joining us this morning. Great advice. And all week long on Daybreak, we're getting ready to go back to school. Coming up at 6:50 this morning, we'll show you what the ideal school lunch should look like for high school students. And then tomorrow morning on Daybreak, Allison will be back in our studio giving you some examples of the ideal breakfast your kids should be eating before they head out the door.
Do you know what your high schooler is eating for lunch? You may or may not know. If you don't see them packing, there's a chance that they're just grabbing a pop and chips at school here. So we want to make sure that they're making the right choices, and want to make sure that you can help them make those choices too. And Allison Reed, a dietitian for Spartan Stores, is here now to give us some samples and examples of what kind of lunches high school students should be eating here. And I have to say, this stuff looks delicious so far.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so what's the idea here? I mean, high schoolers are going to eat a lot more food than elementary kids are, as we talked about last hour.
True.
What do we want to do to make sure that they're eating right, though?
Well, again, you want to have that variety, color, and balance in the foods that you're putting together, or even get them actually putting some of those things together themselves. So having whole grain wraps or pita bread, or whole grain bread available for them to make those sandwiches. You know, having the fruits and vegetables there so that they can grab them quick and go.
Right.
You know, this is just an example here with the turkey wrap. We've got some peas, as well as snap peas, as well as grapes, and that's kind of your lunch idea. And then we've got a couple of snacks for those high school athletes who are, you know, after school, they're needing something to fuel their workout.
Right.
And so we've got an example of trail mix, and we're just using the whole grain cereal with dried fruit, no sugar added to that fruit, and mixed nuts.
Not everybody thinks about that necessarily when you're getting the kid ready for school. They're either going to eat lunch, but you don't always think about the snack when they're going to need after school in order to be able to power through their workouts or their training, right?
And that's when those vending machines kind of come into play, and you know, maybe they aren't doing as well in their sport as they could be because they're not, you know, properly fueled.
Yeah, no, this is a lot of prep work though. I mean, making a wrap like that you don't just put that together in just a few seconds here. So, I mean, is this something you should do the night before or something you should do for the child, or should you suggest that they do it on their own the morning of?
The wrap does really, honestly, it couldn't take that long if I did all of it before I came in this morning. So
I'm talking about a kid who's popping out of bed. I know how that used to be.
Quick.
Racing out the door as soon as
this
they got
prep
up.
takes 5 minutes. So if you've got the tomatoes cut up, the lettuce cut up for them to kind of put all their fillings inside of the wrap, it really takes no time at all.
And then we want to make sure that we have like all the different food groups and we're hitting those too. How can you do that? How do you know that you're hitting the right ones?
Okay, so making sure that in a meal you've got, again, same as elementary school students, you want to have 3 to 4 different food groups in there for a meal, and 2 to 3 for a snack. So, you know, just making sure that those healthy foods are available is going to be really, really important.
All right, Allison from Spartan Stores, we really appreciate you coming in this morning, giving us some ideas on how to feed your elementary kid and also how to feed your high school kid and make sure that they're all eating healthy, because as school gets started here, we know that somebody might be wanting to take some shortcuts. And
Absolutely.
that won't be the mom or dad, that'll be the kids.
Right, and this is definitely some money saving stuff too, so just
Great
keep
ideas.
that in mind.
Great ideas today.
Thank you
for coming in today.